In a world that screams for attention, where every platform demands your presence and every voice competes to be heard, there's a silent killer of true influence. It's not a lack of charisma, it's not a shortage of words, it's the insidious belief that to command respect, you must be the loudest, the most verbose, the most outwardly assertive. We are constantly told to network more, to speak up, to explain ourselves, to prove our worth through endless chatter and performative displays. But look around. What do you see? A cacophony of noise, overwhelm, diluted impact, a constant hum of anxiety stemming from a desperate need for external validation. This is the modern human condition, a relentless pursuit of being heard that leaves us with less power, less presence, and less true respect. Think for a moment of Steve Jobs. Not the Jobs of the keynote stage, commanding millions with his words, but the Jobs in the boardroom, in the design studio, in the quiet moments of decision. He didn't always need to speak. His presence alone, his posture, his unwavering gaze, his almost terrifying certainty, these communicated more than any speech ever could. He commanded respect without demanding it. He influenced without needing to explain. He led without needing to shout. How? What was his secret? It wasn't about what he said. It was about who he was. This video will unpack the Steve Jobs effect, revealing how his profound internal mastery, his silent strength, allowed him to command respect without saying a word, and how you can cultivate this same terrifying power. The core of Jobs' genius lay in his understanding that true authority, the kind that bends reality and inspires unwavering loyalty, is an emanation of deep internal conviction. It's not about external performance. It's about an unshakable internal state. He possessed what was famously called a reality distortion field. But this wasn't just manipulation. It was an extreme form of self-belief and conviction that literally shifted the reality around him. He believed so profoundly in his vision that it became infectious, compelling others to align with his certainty. It doesn't just process words, it processes energy, posture, eye contact, the very coherence of another person's being. When someone is internally aligned, when their thoughts, beliefs, and actions are moving in perfect synchronization toward a goal, their energy introduces them before they speak. Their standards push people to level up or get out of their way. This is not about appearance. It's not about pretending to be confident. It's about becoming so aligned internally that your thoughts, beliefs, and actions are moving in perfect synchronization towards your goal. When your inner world is clear, focused, and certain, your outer world follows. This is how attraction works, how results are pulled in, not by force, but by identity. This profound internal alignment, this silent certainty, is what commands respect. It's a neurobiological phenomenon. The human brain is wired to respond to certainty, composure, and focused energy. When you embody these traits, your nervous system communicates a powerful signal to others. This person is in control. This person knows where they are going. This person is not to be trifled with. The world bows to the person who knows exactly where they are going. Let's break down the pillars of this silent authority, drawing from Jobs' life and the deep neurobiological truths that underpin true influence. Pillar 1, the silent architect of self-mastery. The foundation of commanding respect without saying a word lies in mastering your internal world. This is the nothing bothers me mindset. Life is filled with noise. People's opinions, daily frustrations, unexpected setbacks. The world is relentless in its ability to throw distractions, criticisms, and roadblocks in your path. But true strength comes from mastering the art of indifference. Imagine walking through a storm without flinching, without losing your composure. This is what it means to act as if nothing bothers you. When you allow external events to dictate your mood, you become a puppet to forces beyond your control. But when you train your mind to remain unmoved, you become the master of your destiny. This isn't apathy, it's a strategic choice to prevent external events from dictating your internal state. The example of smiling and walking away from an insult illustrates a causal relationship. Controlling one's reaction effectively robs the instigator of their power. This self-mastery serves not only personal well-being, but also acts as a powerful tool for social and professional dominance. The world respects those who remain calm in chaos, who don't crumble under pressure. When you embody this mindset, you command authority without saying a word. You move through life with power, with presence, with unshakable confidence. Neuroscience reveals that emotional detachment strengthens the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for emotional regulation, decision-making, and sustained focus. Every time you override the impulse to react emotionally, you engage this top-down control, strengthening these circuits. Over time, these circuits become more dominant, and your baseline shifts. What once felt overwhelming becomes manageable. What once triggered avoidance now triggers engagement. This is neurological conditioning. You've trained your autonomic system to stay regulated in adversity. You've built stress tolerance at the level of the brainstem and limbic system. You don't just look consistent. You are consistent because your entire physiology has been shaped by repeated exposure to discomfort without retreat. He retreated, yes, but he used that time for introspection and rebuilding. He acted as if nothing bothers you, detaching from the emotional pain and maintaining clarity. This allowed him to make strategic decisions that ultimately led to his triumphant return. His composure under immense pressure, his dismissal of detractors, and his consistent personal style, the black turtleneck jeans, all communicated an internal focus that was unshakable. He wasn't swayed by fleeting opinions or external chaos. He was anchored by an inner certainty. Pillar 2, the weapon of silence and focus. In a world obsessed with noise, silence is the ultimate power move. Most people talk to fill space, to gain validation, to prove something. But the most powerful individuals, they don't speak unnecessarily. They listen, they observe, they calculate. And when they finally speak, every word carries weight. Silence makes people uncomfortable. It forces them to second-guess themselves, to analyze your thoughts, to wonder what you're thinking. In a conversation, the one who speaks less holds more control. Words reveal, but silence conceals. When you master the art of silence, you shift power dynamics in your favor. You gain control over conversations, over situations, over how people perceive you. This internal world is where self-awareness, introspection, and future planning live. When you remove yourself from the noise, your brain starts doing the exact work that moves your life forward. Most people never access this space because silence makes them uncomfortable. They think silence is passive. It's not. It's an active neurobiological space for internal recalibration. When you are constantly reacting to the world, chasing alerts, defending yourself, performing, you're blocking this system from activating, trading clarity for chaos. Attention itself is a biologically limited resource. Neurotransmitters like acetylcholine and norepinephrine, critical for directing focus, operate on a finite supply. Every time you let yourself get pulled into a meaningless argument, scroll through junk content, or chase external drama, you're spending that precious neurochemical fuel. Jobs understood this implicitly. His ruthless elimination of distractions, his wartime tunnel vision on products, not engaging in petty arguments or public feuds unless strategically necessary, all serve to preserve his cognitive bandwidth. He didn't waste energy on noise. He channeled it into creation. He didn't need applause to keep going. His reward system was wired for progress, not external validation. This is a fundamental neurobiological truth. The brain does not change simply because one desires it to. It changes when it is provided with consistent, undeniable evidence through behavior. Every single action, particularly when it demands effort or pushes against resistance, sends a powerful signal through neural pathways, strengthening and myelinating those circuits, thereby carving the behavior deeper into one's neural architecture. This consistent behavioral input serves as a continuous vote for the type of person one is becoming. Each time an individual acts, especially when the task is difficult, they are not merely completing an item on a checklist. They are casting a vote for the type of person their brain believes you are. This process leads to the strengthening of synaptic connections around the repeated behaviors, making them more efficient, more accessible, and ultimately more reflexive. This is how habits are formed at a neural level through execution, not contemplation. The very act of consistently following through, even when tired, distracted, or uninspired, literally sculpts the identity of someone who is reliable, who finishes, who endures. This concept extends to the profound principle that success is not pursued. It is attracted by who you become. You don't chase what is inherently yours. Rather, you prepare for it, align with it, and elevate your inner world until the desired outcome is naturally drawn to you. The internal landscape, comprising thoughts, beliefs, habits, and standards, exerts ultimate control over external results. When this inner world is characterized by clarity, focus, and certainty, the outer world inevitably aligns. Jobs' life was a testament to this. His relentless execution, his real artistship mantra, wasn't just about getting products out the door. It was about building an identity as a creator, a doer, someone who manifested ideas into reality. He didn't just talk about revolutionizing industries, he did it repeatedly. His identity as a visionary was built by doing, not just talking. He understood that the brain only codes for what's real. And when someone is truly focused on building something, whether it's a skill, a body, a business, or a new version of themselves, they don't waste precious cognitive bandwidth broadcasting every move. Their reward system has already shifted. They get dopamine from execution, not expression. Pillar 4, the unyielding force of definite purpose. The journey towards extraordinary achievement begins with an unwavering sense of direction. Definiteness of purpose is the starting point of all achievement. Without a clear, specific, and measurable purpose, an individual is akin to a ship without a rudder, tossed by the waves of circumstance and destined to drift aimlessly. A purpose, when crystallized and burned into the mind, transcends a mere wish. It becomes a powerful compass and a formidable weapon, focusing all energy and eliminating distraction. This purpose is not a static discovery, but something that is discovered and developed over time, requiring constant refinement and daily embodiment. The clarity derived from a definite purpose acts as a force multiplier. When one's purpose is clear, energy becomes intensely focused, distractions lose their power, and the petty opinions of others become irrelevant. This suggests that clarity is not merely about knowing what one wants, but about actively reorganizing both the internal and external world around that singular aim. It functions as a powerful filter, eliminating noise and directing resources, thereby amplifying effort and accelerating progress. A lack of progress is often not due to insufficient effort or talent, but a fundamental deficiency in clarity, making the time invested in defining purpose the most high-leverage activity for unlocking sustained, directed power. Jobs' singular vision for Apple, his refusal to be swayed from his core mission even when fired, is a prime example. He knew exactly what he wanted to build, tools that empowered individuals, elegantly designed and seamlessly integrated. This definite purpose allowed him to cut through the noise, make brutal decisions, and inspire others to follow a path that seemed impossible to many. He didn't need to explain his purpose endlessly. His actions, his focus, and the clarity of his direction spoke volume. People could feel his certainty. Pillar 5, the power of nonconformity. Think different. True influence comes from daring to be unique, challenging the status quo, and being willing to be misunderstood. Society often praises conformity, yet it is forever changed by nonconformists. The most impactful movements, the most revolutionary inventions, the most profound artistic expressions, they all sprang from minds that refused to be confined by established norms. These are the minds that dared to see beyond the obvious, beyond what was considered possible. They recognized that the greatest barrier to progress isn't a lack of resources or intelligence, it's a lack of courage to defy the consensus. It requires you to build a mind so strong, so rooted in its own conviction, that it becomes impervious to the subtle and not so subtle pressures of conformity. It requires you to act as if nothing bothers you, to let the whispers of doubt, the critics, and the comfortable consensus simply wash over you, while you remain steadfast in your unique path. Neuroscience supports this. When your behavior starts to shift, when your habits tighten, when you say no to things you used to say yes to, your nervous system begins reorganizing itself around a new identity. This creates friction with the world around you. People still see the older version of you, the version they're comfortable with. And when you stop matching that version, they'll resist. They may question you, joke about the changes, or even try to pull you back to baseline. This is where most people break. They try to explain themselves, over-justify, or dilute their process just to be understood. But if you're serious about evolving, you have to tolerate that friction. You have to become neurologically resilient to disapprove. The paradox is the more aligned you become with your future self, the less understood you'll be by your past circle. That's a sign you're on the right path. He created products that defied market research, that were initially ridiculed, like the iPhone's lack of a physical keyboard. He was willing to be seen as crazy because he trusted his own vision more than the consensus. His nonconformity wasn't loud or aggressive. It was a quiet, unwavering certainty that his way was the right way, and his results eventually proved it. He didn't need to explain his choices. The products themselves and their impact spoke volume. Actionable takeaways, your blueprint for unspoken authority. So how do you apply this blueprint for commanding respect without saying a word in your own life? How do you cultivate the Steve Jobs effect and become a force that influences through presence, not just words? First, practice mindful non-reaction, the nothing bothers me drill. This is your daily armor. When faced with criticism, a minor setback, or an irritating comment, pause. Don't react immediately. Instead, observe your feelings without allowing them to dictate your action. Ask yourself, does this truly affect my long-term goals? Is my reaction necessary, or am I giving away my power? Consciously choose logic over panic. Practice smiling and walking away from trivial provocation. The more you practice this, the more you train your nervous system to interpret stress not as a threat, but as a cue for focus. You build physiological resilience. This is how you become untouchable. Schedule dedicated periods of silence in your day. No notifications, no social media, no background noise. This activates your brain's default mode network, fostering deep self-reflection, clarity, and strategic thinking. When you're in conversations, practice listening more than you talk. Let others reveal themselves first. When you do speak, choose your words with precision and intention. The less you say, the more weight your words carry. Remember, silence is a weapon. It allows you to gather information while revealing nothing, shifting power dynamics in your favor. Third, focus on action over talk. The real artistship imperative. Stop announcing every move. Stop explaining your plans to everyone. Your brain gets a false sense of completion when you prematurely share your goals, diluting your neurochemical drive. Instead, channel that energy into relentless execution. Let your work, your progress, and your results speak for themselves. This means setting non-negotiable ship dates for your projects, embracing the minimum viable product mindset, and taking immediate action on your idea. Your identity is forged by what you do, not what you say you'll do. When you consistently deliver, your actions become your most powerful form of communication. A clear, specific, and deeply personal purpose is your ultimate filter. It focuses your energy, eliminates distractions, and makes the petty opinions of others irrelevant. Spend time defining what you truly want to build, what problem you are obsessed with solving. Write it down, read it daily. Let it become your compass and your weapon. When your purpose is crystal clear, your presence will exude certainty, and that certainty commands respect without a single word. People can feel it in your energy. If you are truly evolving, you will confuse the people who are not. Understand that your unique path, your unconventional ideas, and your refusal to conform will inevitably lead to criticism and misunderstanding. Don't try to explain yourself or dilute your process to gain approval. Tolerate that friction. Build neurological resilience to disapproval. Let them talk. Let them doubt. Your unwavering commitment to your unique vision, despite external noise, is a powerful silent statement of confidence and conviction. It tells the world you are not here to be liked. You are here to make an impact. The 5 pillars: self-mastery, strategic silence, identity by action, definite purpose, and non-conformity are not isolated concepts, but interconnected elements of a holistic system for self-transformation. Each pillar reinforces the others, creating a compounding effect that inevitably leads to external impact and the realization of an unstoppable life. The work performed in silence, through consistent and often unseen effort, builds an internal resilience and clarity that the external world cannot ignore. The very act of pushing through discomfort, whether it be boredom, fatigue, or the fear of missing out, sharpens one's instincts, improves decision-making, and uncovers strengths previously unknown as pressure forces an individual to rise. Ultimately, the world responds not to mere wishes, intentions, or noise, but to force, the undeniable force of consistent action, unwavering discipline, and relentless execution. The progress forged in quiet determination will eventually scream its presence, rendering external doubts and criticisms irrelevant. A discipline cultivated in solitude becomes so ingrained that it outpaces the skepticism of others, leading to an undeniable rise. This transformation is not a matter of chance, but of deliberate design, initiated by a conscious decision to move, to act, and to endure, regardless of external conditions or internal resistance. The world owes you nothing. No one is coming to save you. No one is coming to hand you your dream. You get what you earn. You get what you build. And the only way to build something that lasts is to turn inward, get focused, and outwork every excuse, every distraction, every weakness trying to pull you off track. You don't need applause. You don't need comfort. You don't need permission. You need hunger. You need fire. You need the kind of relentless mindset that wakes up every single day with one mission: improve, execute, dominate. This isn't about talent. This isn't about luck. This is about discipline, faith, vision, and execution. This is about showing up when no one else will, believing when no one else does, grinding when everyone else is comfortable. You want a life most people don't have, then you better be willing to do what most people won't. Cut the noise, kill the excuses, focus on yourself, work hard, lock in, stay dangerous, stay obsessed, because when it's all said and done, the only thing that separates the average from the unstoppable is this: one kept talking, the other kept building. Be the one who builds, be the one who finishes, be the one they can't stop.